morning. Good morning. Make some noise. You guys are young people. I heard you guys are fun. I heard you guys are the best group in town. Isn't that right? Hey, one thing though. Look at me. One thing we have on the streets is respect. I came from the streets, and one thing we had, it was respect. Anytime someone came to talk to us, anytime they came to sing or dance, have some fun, make some games, one thing we had, it was respect. We always looked at them, with even the time when we were using drugs, we would stop using drugs. I just came back from Rio 2 days ago, and we went to one of the toughest places in Rio de Janeiro. Even the guys that had big guns, they put the guns behind, take the caps out, they stopped the funk music just to listen to what we had to say. This morning, I'm going to tell you my story. And one thing I ask you is to respect my story. You know why? Because if you would sit right here and tell me your story, I will listen to your story. I'm talking about life. And I heard some of you guys here say, why are we here this morning? Because we are talking about life. There is people out there that need you guys. And I'm talking about future doctors, I'm talking about future engineers, and I'm talking about future teachers. I'm talking about people that will make a difference, not just in Brazil, but outside of Brazil. I've been over 20 countries telling my story. And you will hear my story today, and you will understand why I'm so passionate about helping people. We have so much. We have so many things that we can give back to the community. And today, I'm going to tell you that you can make a difference anywhere you go. Alright? Is that cool? Is that right with you guys? Alright. Hey, listen. Every time I say something that will inspire you, you can say something that's what's up. Something like that. Just be crazy, alright? You guys ain't old folks. You ain't like sleeping right now, so wake up. If I had some coffee right now, I'd just treat you guys with some coffee, right? So if I don't have no coffee, but one thing I ask you, tell your friend right next to you, say, hey, be quiet. Shut up! We're going to listen right now to a story of someone that came from the streets. He asked a question. He said, how many of you guys believe that there is future for an extra kid? And most of you guys are really smart. You guys need to stand up. Because there is a future for an extra kid. I grew up in an alcoholic father. I grew up in one of the worst slums in Minas Gerais. My father was an alcoholic and he used to sell ice cream. Fudges, those guys that pull a cart and they just start singing Portuguese. Olha, o picolé é sorvete, picolé barato e gostoso, hein? I know you guys have heard it, but they walk on the streets with those carts and they start singing. It's crazy. So my father used to do that. And he used to make 6 reais to 7 reais. That's like $3 per day. Instead of him sending or bringing that money home, he would take that money and spend in the bar with drugs and alcohol and play some sinuca, some pool table, and then he would play those games, those crazy games. He would come back with no money. And in my house, we had nothing. We lived in a place double this size. And I had 4 brothers, 2 sisters. One brother, he died when he was little, so it stayed 3 brothers and 2 sisters. And my mom and my dad. Just a place that's double this place right here. We had almost nothing in the house. And my father, instead of bringing the money to our house to give us food, he would spend in the bar with drugs and alcohol. So we grew up without nothing. When I was little, we had to go to the streets and beg for money, beg for food. And so that was my life. I grew up in the slums. In the slums, if you have been to the slums, it's crazy. Not this type of slums, those nice ones, that people had cars, TV. I grew up in a slum that we had nothing. My mom had to wash our clothes in in a stream of water, and there is a rock right here, and she would go with a big bacia, how do you say? Just a thing of clothes, right here, and she would wash it. Alright? We grew up with extreme poverty, with an alcoholic father, with an abusive father. Almost every single day when I would get home, my mom had a purple eye. Many times she couldn't walk because she would be in her bed and he had grabbed a piece of wood and he would ride home drunk and he would beat her back like this. And I would ride home and I would just hear my mom crying. So I grew up with a lot of anger. I grew up with a lot of, I was a very sad boy. I wanted to, listen to what I'm saying, I wanted to kill my dad. It was my dream to grow older, like 16, 17, and one day I wanted to kill my dad because of what he did to my mom, and to my sisters, and to my brothers, and to me. My oldest brother, his name is Daniel. He left home when he was 7 years old. He was tired of the poverty, he was tired of our house, he was tired of my dad, so he ran away. He lived on the streets of Brazil for 14 years, and he never came back. After that, when he was older, he was caught selling drugs, and he spent 3 years in jail. He just came out, and now he's married, he has 2 kids, but he's still doing no good. He's still doing crazy things, and he hasn't changed his life yet. My second oldest brother, he left home when he was 5 years old. His name is Marildo. He also left because of my dad and because of extreme poverty in the home. He never came back. The last time I saw my brother, it was 11 years ago. January 5th, right now, it will complete 12 years that I haven't seen my second oldest brother. 12 years ago I saw him. He was HIV positive. He was in the world, just a crazy world. And he looked at my mom and said, I ain't coming back home. You don't need to come back to the streets to look for me no more. I ain't coming back. Forget about me. You won't see me no more. And he just gave up on life. So we haven't received a letter from him. He hasn't called us, so we don't know if he's alive or if he's dead. I was 7 years old when my dad looked at me and said, hey, you a little man now. You gotta go to the streets. You gotta make some money and bring money to the house. I was 7 years old. And he told me you gotta sell pastries, you gotta sell candies. So the first thing I started doing, I started selling candies. You probably see a lot of kids on the street selling candies in Brazil. So I used to make about $2 per day selling candies. And after selling candies, I went to sell pastries, pastel de carne, pastel de queijo. My mom used to make it, and I used to sell it with some juice, all right? And I used to make a little bit more money, like $4 per day. And I used to bring this money to our house. After pastries, I started selling ice cream. And after ice cream, I started shining shoes, all right, in a bus station. When I was 7 years old, I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. I used to start making money. When I started having money, I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. They started teaching me how to use wrong things. The first thing they taught me how to use, it was cigarettes. And I thought I was the coolest guy. I dyed my hair, I put some bling bling on, and I was like, yeah, now I'm the man. My dad told me I'm the man, so I'm the man. So bling bling on, cigarettes, and I used to walk with people like, yeah, what's up, man? I'm from the slum, I do what I want, I don't respect nobody. You know? After cigarette, I went to paint thinner. If you don't know what paint thinner is, it's what remove a paint, alright? It's paint thinner is very strong. You go crazy. I don't know if you have some street kids, but in my city, Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais, they stay paint thinner right here. Or they grab a piece, like they cut a cloth, and they stick like this. Or glue, all right? Glue, also we used to stick glue. Olor is a mix of paint thinner and glue. So we used to make that, and I thought I was the coolest guy ever. But my life was just going downhill, and I didn't know it. After that, I started using crack. That's when my life just went crazy. From 7 years old to 11 years old, almost every single day, my father used to beat me. The last time he beat me, I was 11 years old. I arrived home around 2:30 in the morning. He put me a wall, and he started hitting me. And when he kept hitting me, I fell on the ground. My father had no mercy. He just stepped on my neck, and he kept hitting me until I fainted. When I fainted, when I came back, my mom, she was cleaning my face and she was crying. And when I came back, I looked at her face. I remember her face even today. And she looked at me and said, hey, son, I love you. Don't leave me. Don't leave me like your brothers left me. Don't leave. Don't leave me. And I looked at her and said, Mom, I'm out of here. I can't do this no more. I was 11 years old. I left home. I went to live in the third largest city in Brazil called Belo Horizonte, Beautiful Horizon, in Minas Gerais, all right? I lived on the streets for 1 year. 1 year on the streets. Everything you can imagine, it happened to me. If you read my book, you're gonna hear some crazy stories. But it was back in the days when the police officers, they would clean the streets. They were not allowing the street kids to be on the streets no more. So they used to take the street kids to some different places, and you would never see them again, all right? There's a lot of crazy stories here. But one thing happened though. I don't know what happened to me, but I think the big man up there, he helped me, and I didn't die. I tried to kill myself 3 times. I hated life. I hated everything. I didn't look nobody that I. Every man that used to come to give me something, I always did like this, 12 years old. Every time they gave me something, I didn't talk to nobody. Every time you touch me like this, I would never allow you to touch me. Because I just hated people. I hated everything about life. I didn't have no family. I had no community, no neighborhood. I was out of my family. I was out of my city. I had no help until I was 12 years old. A group of foreigners, they worked with street kids in Brazil. And they go to different cities, and there's people from Norway, people from Holland, people from England, people from Brazil, people from Argentina, and they go to the streets and they grab a guitar and they sing songs. You know, they do some dance, choreography. They talk to you, and they used to come every Tuesday, every Thursday to the streets. And every time they came to the streets, I didn't like those folks. They didn't speak Portuguese, so I didn't understand nothing they were saying. They used to come to me and say, "Hey, you okay?" In Portuguese. "You okay?" Like, "Yeah, I'm alright." I didn't understand nothing they were saying. Most of them, they were blonde, and they were so different than me. So every time they came, they did everything they did. I was always using drugs. But one day they asked me, "Do you want to get out of the streets?" And I looked at them and said, "Yeah, I do." And they said, "There is a place that you can live. It's a shelter for boys and girls. Do you want to get out of the streets?" And I said, "I do want to get out of the streets. I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to be like my brothers." And I went to live in a shelter. When I arrived there, I hated that place. They told me to wear flip-flops. I like no flip-flops. I grew up in the slums without no flip-flops. I was on the streets without no flip-flops. You know what I'm saying? They told me to take showers. I spent months on the streets without taking showers. I didn't like no shower. When I used to take shower, I used to go to the plazas, and there was a water fountain, and I would just take shower there, you know? No take shower in the bathroom, all those great stuff. I just didn't like that, you know? We had time to sleep, we had time to wake up, we had to wear nice clothes, I had to comb my hair, I had to clean my nose. I didn't like all those stuff. And every single day they used to come to me and tell me, "Hey, I love you. You have a future. You can do great things. Hey, I know your past was crazy, but your future can be great." And I used to hear all those things and "Yeah, right. You don't know me. You don't know where I came from." And I had all those bling bling, you know, bling heel. You know, I used to dye my hair with all yellow. And I said, "You don't know me. You don't know what I've done. You don't know my family." So I didn't like them. Every time they used to come like those folks that are right there, your teachers, every time they look at you guys, right? You can do great things. You can be somebody. Don't give up and all those stuff. And I used to look at them like, "Yeah, right. I'm a bad guy. You know, I'm a gangster." You know, I didn't listen to nobody. I thought I was the man, you know? But until I was 14 years old, 2 years in this shelter, I didn't listen to nobody. I had to go to school, didn't do no good in school. School for me, I hated it. Because my father used to tell me, "You're stupid. You're gonna be nobody. You're not my son." So for me, and because of all the drugs, I thought I was a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So school was nothing for me, you know, until I was 14 years old. When I was 14, one day, we were kind of a place like this. We were just thinking about life and thinking about what happened to me. And one guy, he was from